Tea time, lament. Clasp 2 hands around the mug and taste a steamless aside. When we get merry and laugh. I wouldn't discount it, he says. Not the kind of place you visit. It's a living place, a home place. The visitor. Breathing in salt, quiet to settle here in the grass like an old friend. Soft. 2. To yearn for the music that sounds like you've always known it when you listen in the half-light. Warmth like wool drying slower than the evening. My skin feels softer to my own touch, and my own touch and that of the sea air will be more than the touch of a lover has been. 3. I have already watched you live your whole life in that church town, and I lived there with you. We lived our whole life at the ease of green hills and the sea, tea every hour and a smiling, reputable house with a tidy view, growing old but never growing restless in the place that people come home to. I aged up there, quite gracefully, you thought, until the mug cooled in my hand and you offered me a hot drop, which I took, even though I knew that by now the tea was bitter from its long steep and the flavor wouldn't be the same. Question revisited. Would you like a piece of this cake? I made it myself, tidily plated, clean like I on a hot plate, rancid yet polite. I believe in the existence of the illusions that people decide they never decided that they had to decide to believe it in order for them to believe that they believe it, so they do. They rock in paper cradles, rock soft, and forget. Plant this on your desk in half-light, water twice weekly and it will grow, but not too fast. Keep it under control or it will overwhelm your office space and claim your PC for father to read your mind with. It's likely that this is not what you want, so be diligent. A penny saved is worth 2 in the bush before they hatch, they say.
Phone call he received from his mother on Saturday.
I missed it.
So I asked him to translate what we're talking about. Called it Freedom for Syria. Basil's mother phones, and with a quiver in her voice she asks, "Please, my son, pray for freedom and peace. These past few days we have suffered many hours of grief as we bury our dead. And please don't phone for a while." He fears the worst because of the sound of gunfire in the background. Later, on this May Eve evening, Basil sits alone on the pier. As the sound of fireworks blasts over the Shannon, he thinks of his family in Syria, covers his ears, and helplessly he cries.
Nice, isn't it? This isn't a poem, it's just a few thoughts I had on the word freedom. And pardon my pronunciation of some of this language because it's unfamiliar to me. Freedom. Can I speak in my own language? I will carry on kind in what younger fame. Gaelic. Freedom is liberté in France. Your height, Africanus. Liri in Albanian. Libertat in Catalonian. Besplatna in Croatian. Can I dress as I please? Freedom is Zdana in Czech. Gratis in Danish. Tatsuta in Estonian. Wapa in Finnish. Kostenlos in German. Can I protest peacefully? Freedom is Ingines in Hungarian. Okipis in Icelandic. Free in Italy. Besmakas in Latvian. Nemokama in Lithuanian. Can I vote for my future? Freedom is Perkuma in Malayan, Darmoe in Polish, Gratuit in Romanian, Zadarmo in Slovakian, Free again in Slovenia. Can I be? Can I live? Can I love? Freedom is Libre in Spanish, Bore in Swahili, Eukrates in Turkey, Mein Phi in Vietnam, Belarusian, Bulgarian, Russian, Arabic, Chinese. I cannot pronounce their words, but I do know we all smile in the same language. We also seek freedom in the universal language of hope. Thank you.
It's all very well, and I'd like tonight to stand here and applaud these things from the sidelines. It's another thing to be in a cell at 3 o'clock in the morning when the door is kicked in, and you have 3 well-dressed people, guns in their armpits, paid top dollar by the state, to abuse, to denigrate everything. I've been there. In that situation, in a cell at 3 o'clock in the morning, there are 2 reactions. One is the reaction of Mandela and the mentality he walked out with. The other is the reaction of Hamas, bin Laden and people like that to that situation, and we know where that leads in the world. During the Cromwellian wars, a Cavalier officer was arrested and interrogated. He had a very special relationship with his 12-year-old daughter, and he sent her a poem from prison. And that poem had become the watchword of people in all cultures, in all traditions since, for what freedom meant and the defining of it. I'll quote the appropriate verse. Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. Minds innocent and free, take that as an hermitage. If I have freedom in my love, and in my thoughts am free, then angels alone that soar above can know such perfect liberty. What will decide how those young people going through the oppressive regimes come back out onto the street is if they find that in their spirituality and can stand up to it, not a political ideology that stays outside the cell door. It's what you have inside there. And I don't want to keep referring to my own situation in the Liverpool Bridewell, Humber and Thirst or anything like that. I have been there. Talk is cheap, and that's why it must be taken a past talk, action and support for these people. In South Africa, about 6 years before Mandela's release, things looked very bleak indeed. And in 1 week, 5 or 6 young ANC activists and supporters were shot. A clergyman, Reverend Wellington Mobutu, stood at the graveside at a loss for words, tears rolling down his cheeks. It made the cover of Time magazine. I spoke to an Irish Christian brother at the time about the hopelessness of it all as it appears now in the Middle East, and he pointed out what was really happening underground if the whole infrastructure of South Africa fell, if you had a new democracy there, if you had a new hope, all the rest of that. And the second poem is Carnage, and for a change I'm actually going to read something. I'll read both of them because I was at a Holocaust conference earlier today. There was a series of lectures there, and to say it was mind-numbing, that's put it very mildly indeed. For Reverend Wellington Lubutu, and for those who fight for the future. Your eyes full of pain, my brother, must have been like all the other eyes that watch through history the sad faltering steps of humanity on the eve of a Benson or Sabra camp, or whenever that precious lamp dimmed and left a darkening hole to stain forever the human soul. Your eyes full of pain, my brother, must have been like all the other eyes that see the hopes of their race crushed one by one to shining case, to join the other stifled screams in a magazine of unquiet dreams, no other expression left bar one, the sterile rattle of a deadly gun. Your eyes full of pain, my brother, must have been like all the other eyes that could see the abyss and brink while humanity still had time to think, but surely knew in their deep heart's core that it would all be the same as before, and no one to care or question why all our roads lead back to Troy. Here where it all began, between two rivers and a garden, before the flaming sword or the barring angel stood, before there ever even was concept of Iraq or Iran. And who was Abraham but one who left his footprints on their sand? And if we seek the God he searched, our footsteps too are in that land, where Jew and Gentile cease to be, and time marks history's recent page, and permanent as shifting desert sands, all kings, emperors, and lineage. Yet conveniently forgotten now, just as we forget crusade against what we named infidel. Yet what was lost or what was gained for all the soldier knights that fell? Was Europe then a better place, or did Arab causes cease to be? Yes, all ignored, forgotten, the ancient streams that flow, as armies once again engage in timeless hate, in timeless fear, and past and future merge again in raw, useless, pointless carnage. What futile claims of victory when more dragons' teeth are sown?